So you have studied the entire syllabus for UPSC and appeared for this year's 2026 prelims, but couldn't clear it. And you are planning to give 2027 attempt, but this period is a period of utter confusion for you. Because you have completed the entire syllabus, you can't go through the entire syllabus from scratch. You need a different strategy for these next 9 to 10 months, right? This is a period of utter confusion where most UPSC aspirants get lost. Now, in this video, I'm going to explain to you a strategy which you should follow for the next 9 to 10 months so that you can self-study for UPSC 2027, but with the right strategy, with the right timetable, with the right approach. The strategy is called 4+2+3 strategy, and it is relevant for those aspirants who couldn't clear this year's prelims or who always planned for 2027 attempt but have already prepared for UPSC, completed the entire syllabus, and now they don't know how to go about it. So this 4+2+3 strategy is for all you guys who have completed everything but don't know what to do next. They can't wait for next 9 to 10 months. This 9 to 10 months is a void for them. They don't know how to approach this. So carefully listen to this 4+2+3 strategy. Okay, so here we go. Listen to me very carefully. It will be really beneficial for you. So this 4+2+3 strategy is extremely relevant for those people who feel lost right now. They completely feel lost. And what is the meaning of this 4+2+3 strategy? Remember, I told you you have around 9 months left for the next UPSC prelims examination. So 4 means first 4 months of this 9 months. 2 means next 2 months. And 3 means the last 3 months. Okay, this is the 4+2+3 strategy, 4+2+3 strategy. So I'm going to explain to you what you are going to do in the first 4 months, in the next 2 months, in the last 3 months. Okay, so pay close attention. Okay, so first let's talk about what should be done in the first 4 months. Now remember, in the first 4 months, as far as your strategy is concerned, well, before we begin with the strategy, we need to identify the goals we want to achieve. Okay, the goals we want to achieve, the things we want after these 4 months. So number one, we will complete the entire mains only subjects. Okay, now what do I mean by mains only subjects? Well, as far as your UPSC syllabus is concerned, there are certain subjects which are common to both prelims as well as mains. For example, history, geography, economics, polity, right? They are common to both prelims as well as mains. But there are certain subjects which are only specifically asked in mains examination, right? Now, what are those subjects? There is ethics, there is disaster management, right? There is internal security, there is governance, international relations, then Indian society, okay? Then, world history, then India after independence, right? These are the subjects that are specifically mentioned in your main syllabus, and generally questions from these topics are not asked in your prelims examination, right? Now, in these 4 months, we will heavily focus on these mains only subjects. And the reason is because you gave this year's prelims examination. So as of today, you are well versed with the prelim subjects or prelims plus main subjects. What you have ignored for so long because you were preparing for prelims was these main subjects. So for the next 4 months, we are going to focus on these main subjects. Okay. Then we will heavily focus on answer writing and essay writing. Daily main answer writing practice and weekly essay writing practice. By the end of these 4 months, you would have refined your answer writing practice and essay writing considerably. Okay. Then current affairs. We cannot ignore current affairs. So current affairs would be a part of your preparation throughout the year. Okay. Through these current affairs, you will stay in touch with these prelims plus main subjects. Okay. Because most of the news items that are going to be discussed in these current affairs would require some knowledge of your static subjects from prelims. So it would keep you in touch with your prelim subjects also. Plus current affairs form a dominant chunk of your UPSC syllabus. Okay. 50% of your paper, whether it's prelims or mains, comes from current affairs. So we cannot ignore them. So we will cover current affairs. And then refine your optional. Okay, this is the time. This is the apt time to refine your optional. So for the next 4 months, do spend time on your optional. Now I'll explain how we will go about this. Okay, these are the goals that we have set out to achieve. Okay, now how to go about this? So look, You know the syllabus for mains only subjects, right? These are the mains only subjects, as you can see over here, right? Now, 4 months means 120 days. So we will divide this entire mains only subjects, the mains only syllabus, into 120 parts. Okay. So ethics would require 30 days, disaster management 4 days, internal security 7 days, so on and so forth. Okay. So we will divide this entire syllabus into 120 parts, and every day we will study one part, write answers from it, and then that's it. Since these are mains only subjects, so they won't involve any MCQs. They would only require answer writing. We would cover previous year questions as well as, well, fresh questions, okay, which can be asked. So your entire day, every day, cover one part, write answers. Clear? Then every day you have to cover current affairs. Every day you have to cover optional. Simple, okay? As of now, it appears simple, but let me elaborate on it further, okay? What would your typical day look like? Here it goes. So your typical day would look like this, okay? You would divide your entire day into 3 parts. And I'm talking about the entire day from the perspective of UPSC preparation, okay? Not the entire 24 hours. The time you spend on UPSC preparation, okay? You would divide that time into 3 parts. Part 1 would focus on general studies, and these are those mains only subjects, okay? And answer writing. In the initial few days, focus on PYQs, okay? Because questions in the mains examination have a tendency to repeat themselves. Maybe they'll change some language of the question that was asked in 2019 or 20, and by changing the language, they would ask it again in 2027. So be prepared for that. Then current affairs would be part 2 of your day. And last part of your day would be focused on optional. That's it. Divide your day, your entire preparation day, into 3 parts. These are the only 3 things that you are going to cover. Don't worry about anything else. Don't get distracted with anything else. No matter how many videos, how many reels you see here and there, and someone would distract you like, you should cover this, you should do this with Yojana, you should do this with Kurukshetra. Don't get distracted. Just focus on these 3 things. That's about it. Then shut down your mind. Okay. Now, general studies and answer writing would require typically 3 to 4 hours. Okay. Current affairs should not take more than 1.5 hours, 1 to 1.5 hours. And I'll explain how. And optional should again take 2 to 3 hours. That's it. Okay. So in about, let's say 3 plus 4.5 plus 6.5 to 7 hours, your entire UPSC preparation for the day is finished. Okay. But you have to divide your day like this. This is your typical day. But how should your typical week look like? Okay. This is also very, very important. This is your typical day, but your typical week, your planning of the week is really important. Weeks are really important. So how would your typical week look like? Let's take a look over here. So the typical day I described goes for Monday to Friday. So for Monday to Friday, from Monday to Friday of every week, your typical day should look like this. Okay. You would cover general studies, current affairs, optional, the way I described. Then on Saturdays, what we'll do is we will revise what we have covered in the past week. Revise everything. You see, revision is very important because whatever you have studied, whatever you have practiced, requires some time to get absorbed into your brain. Hence, revision is very important. So reserve Saturdays for that only. Revision. That's it. The entire day would be spent, whatever time you have for studying, spend that time for revising the previous week. Okay. And spare 1 hour for essay writing also. Okay, this is really important because we have to refine our essays. Because you might clear prelims examination next year, but you'll definitely get stuck in the mains examination if you have not perfected this art of writing essays. So you have to practice essay writing every week. Make sense? So Saturdays would be for that, and Sunday is reserved for tests. Like revision, tests are very, very, very important. And you should give one test every week, because through that, you'll not only get to revise whatever you have studied, because test is also a form of revision. Okay. Test also helps you keep a track of your preparation. If you're improving in your tests every week, well, you're on the right track. Okay. Plus it keeps you sorted. It keeps you disciplined also, because this sword of test is hanging over your head every week. well, you'll be more disciplined. Some amount of fear is necessary for preparing for UPSC. Okay, some amount of fear. I'm not saying that your fear should be so overwhelming that you are completely, you completely shut down. Okay, that shouldn't be the case. But some amount of fear helps you keep helps you prepare in a disciplined way. It keeps you disciplined basically, right? So that is why we have to give test every week. Now, there will be 2 tests. Okay, one test for current affairs, which would be MCQ based and some mains answer writing practice. Okay, and one test would be, mains test. This would be your subjective test. So every Sunday you will give 2 tests. One objective from current affairs, one subjective from these mains only subjects. Clear? This is how your typical week looks like. Every month has 4 weeks. 4 months would have 16 weeks. So for the first 16 weeks, this is how you should go about things. Okay? It is really that simple. This is how you should move. Okay? So this is as far as this 4 part of your 4+2+3 strategy goes. Now let's go to the 2 part. Okay? So what should you do in the next 2 months after these 4 months? Now, if you have completed all the targets of the first 4 months consistently, properly, you will gather a lot of momentum. If you followed this first 4-month strategy to its very core, your confidence would also get a boost. Okay, you will feel really nice about your preparation. You will get that rhythm, you will get that energy, you will get that motivation. We will use all of that in the next 2 months. Now, in the next 2 months, we would come back to those subjects which are common to prelims as well as mains. What are those subjects? Well, polity is one of them. Economics is one of them. Okay, geography is one of them. History is one of them. Environment, science and tech. Right? Now, for the next 2 months, well, we would cover these subjects in GS. Okay, and because you have already studied these subjects, because you have already gone through these subjects, we are going to focus on revision only. Okay, and revision doesn't require that much time. Therefore, well, we'll spend 12 days per subject. So 12 days for polity, 12 days for economics, 12 days, just a second. Yeah, 12 days for geography, 12 days for history, 6 days for environment, 6 days for science and tech, because these are minor topics. Plus, most of your science and tech and environment would be covered in current affairs only. Okay, so we don't have to spend that much time on this. So this is how we are going to cover these GS subjects, which are common to both prelims as well as mains. Okay, and this time around, because, well, these are those GS subjects which are asked in prelims also. So along with answer writing, we will also focus on MCQs, daily MCQ practice. Along with daily answer writing, we would focus on daily MCQs as well. Clear? This is goal number 1. Goal number 2 is, well, we will bring CSAT into the picture, because for most of you, CSAT is really tough. Okay, and many of you couldn't qualify CSAT this year, or many of you feel CSAT is very challenging, right? So for these 2 months, we would spend some time on CSAT as well. Okay, then current affairs would go on as usual, the way they went in the first 4 months. Okay, and yes, we will cover optional, but you would reduce the time for optional. Earlier, you were spending 2 to 3 hours. Now just spend 1 hour revising what you have studied in your optional for the first 4 months. Okay, you have covered your entire syllabus for your optional. Now you have to spend 1 hour every day just revising. That's about it. These would be your targets for the next 2 months. So main subjects are covered. Now we will cover those subjects, revise those subjects which are common to both prelims as well as mains, because, well, prelims preparation is also important. CSAT would make a comeback. Current affairs would go on as usual. Optional would go on as usual. And how would your typical week look like? Well, similar to the first 4 months, but with a twist. Okay. Now, Monday to Friday, you will cover GS. You will cover current affairs. But your optional time would get reduced. You would spend optional 1 hour. The remaining 1 hour, which you have saved, would be spent on CSAT. Just 1 hour every day for CSAT. That's it. It can be also 45 minutes. 30 to 45 minutes would also be sufficient. Just add CSAT over here. Saturdays, same revision and essay. We won't leave essay writing. It's very important. And Sunday, tests. Now, this time around, the test would be again twofold. First would be the test for, well, GS plus current affairs, MCQ based, and one would be subjective test. That's it. That's all you need to do. This would be your typical week, your typical day as usual. Instead of general studies answer writing, I mean, the time you'll save from optional would be spent on CSAT. CSAT is important, don't ignore it. Okay, this would be your next 2 months. And by that time, we'll enter February, March, April. Okay, because in the month of May, you will have your prelims examination. So for the last 3 months, what will happen? Well, remove answer writing from your preparation, remove essay writing from your preparation. We would switch on prelims mode, pre-mode on. This is the period where we will do revision. Of which subjects? Only those subjects which are common to prelims as well as mains, and we would practice 50 MCQs every day. That's it. This is the prelims mode. Prelims mode would switch on. Okay, we would be heavily invested in this pre-mode. We would remove mains preparation altogether for the last 3 months, because what utility will that mains preparation have if you cannot even clear prelims examination? That is really important, right? So for that reason, well, we would heavily focus on MCQ practice. Every week we will give tests, and it is an exhaustive 90-day revision plan. Exhaustive 90-day revision plan. It would really test your limits, because we would focus more on MCQ practice rather than studying part. Okay, this is an exhaustive 90-day revision plan. The details of this plan would be revealed to you a little later. Okay, I'll make a separate video on that, but I am not revealing the strategy right now because I don't want you to get distracted on with what we'll do in the last 3 months. Just zero in, focus all your attention on the first 6 months, 4 months, 2 months. Okay, and definitely when the last 3 months would come, I would definitely review that strategy. Okay, so this is the 4+2+3 strategy, and you should follow it to its very core. I mean, just get absorbed in the strategy. This would be really beneficial because it gives you some structure in your preparation. And this structure is really good structure. Trust me on this. Now, I know what some of you are thinking right now. What kind of questions are popping in your head? Okay, let me address those questions as well. Okay, so the thing is, I know some of you are already convinced with this strategy, 4+2+3 strategy, but there are certain questions in your head as to, well, we will cover these mains only subjects, and I told you divide these mains only subjects into 120 parts, right? But how to divide them into 120 parts? Okay, what should be our daily target? We will divide the syllabus into 120 parts, but how? Okay, this is a big question. Yes, we will do answer writing, but who would give us questions? We will do essay writing, who would give us essays? Plus the bigger question is, who would basically evaluate our answers and essays? Okay, then current affairs, from where should we cover these current affairs? How should we cover these current affairs? Optional part, well, you already know about it. Optional is something that you are not, I mean, you don't have that many questions because you have figured it out. But these are some genuine important questions. Plus another question is, well, who would give us these tests? Where should we get these tests from? Who would evaluate these tests? Who would evaluate our subjective answers, our MCQ questions, right? Then again, when we come to the next 2 months, well, how would we divide polity into 12 parts? These are some genuine questions, and we have a solution for that. Well, the solution for that, for those genuine questions, is our UPSC 2027 Incubator Batch. If you really want to study, self-study for UPSC 2027, and you are genuinely feeling that confusion as to how to go about things, well, join our Incubator Batch. It is specifically designed for those people who are self-studying but require some mentorship and all these facilities. Now, what will be covered in this Incubator Batch? It is basically a mentorship program, UPSC Incubator Batch. So we will provide you personalized mentorship. What does that mean? Well, all these daily targets, weekly targets, monthly targets, all of that would be provided to you based on your own routine. So it would be heavily personalized. Plus these weekly tests, that would be there. Okay, everything would be done. All these targets, plus there are some students who have their own notes, but for some topics, they have some notes missing. So for all these topics, we will provide you the notes, very good notes. If you want to study from your own notes, which you have prepared yourself, go for it. But if you have some notes, some topics missing, Well, we will provide you notes for everything. So notes would be included in this. Then the best part is, well, the name of the batch is Incubator Mentorship Batch. How would we provide you this mentorship? Definitely while preparing, while doing all these things, while studying, you will have doubts. Sometimes those doubts are academic. For that, all of you would be enrolled in our WhatsApp groups where I will be there and my team of teachers would be there. Whenever you have any doubt, no matter how stupid that doubt is, you might feel that it is stupid, but it's not stupid at all. So you just have to post that doubt on that WhatsApp group and we will reply to you. If we feel that this doubt requires a proper explanation, so we would even call you. This is there. Plus, twice to 2 to 3 times every week, we will have Google Meet sessions. We will have these live Google Meet sessions, you and me talking, okay? And in that, I will generally entertain doubts which are not generally academic, but which are related to preparations. For example, some people say that I'm not feeling motivated enough. I feel tired. Okay, these types of doubts are also important in the life of a student. These are very important doubts. How should I structure my day? What should I do? All these things. Plus, these Google Meet sessions are a way for me to stay connected with you. How good would be this mentorship if I'm not connected with you? So through these Google Meets, well, we will stay connected and we will guide you throughout these entire months. Okay, from today till your interview stage, we will hold your hand. So your strategy, your planning, everything would be covered in this. Personalized mentorship, strategy and planning. Well, the test would take care of accountability and review. And with every test, we will give you a detailed feedback also. Study more of this. Okay, do this. You are making this mistake, this silly mistake while attempting MCQs, so you should do this. Your introduction in your answers lacks this particular point. Well, change that. All of that would be there. And if all these three things are taken care of, this definitely leads to growth and success. Okay, so my sincere advice would be that if you are self-studying, if you have prepared for UPSC, you can't prepare for it again the same way you prepared for it before. Okay, or you couldn't clear your prelims examination but are definitely going to prepare for 2027. This time is that time of confusion, the valley of confusion. Well, resolve this value of confusion, resolve this problem, join our incubator batch, UPSC 2027 incubator batch. Now, if you want to join this batch, just give us a WhatsApp on this number. Okay, give us a WhatsApp saying, I want to join incubator batch. That's it. And we will take it forward from there. So give us a WhatsApp and let's do this. Let's do this time. Let's clear the exam once and for all in 2027. See you in the mentorship batch.